Flight Boss, bitch, you know for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of Terry's Mill. Flight Boss, the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now we're gonna talk about dreams are two-dimensional because this is like fragments of you coming out of your, your mother. Now I'm not gonna say your dream is your mother's experience because at the same time, what a dream is astral projection and astral traveling. Like I said, astral projection is the ability of you to have an imagination and be able to see yourself in that imagination. Now, the imagination is going to be colored and painted and shaped and formed into what you're consciously aware of. So that's astral projection. Like, for an example, I'm consciously aware of this computer and this, that, and the third, right? So if I close my eyes and have an imagination of the same thing, that's astral projection. Now, the moment I start experiencing that, that's astral travel. The moment I start doing things in that imagination, that's astral travel. So you can do that on a large scale, which is dreaming, and you can do that on a small scale, which is daydreaming. So, but your dreams are two-dimensional because you have to understand one dimension, second dimension, and you live in the third dimension because you have a third dimensional vessel. Now, third dimension is surroundings, third person, being able to see things from a third person point of view. Name one dream you ever had where you took yourself out the equation and you was like, well, let me see how this person see my dream. And then let me see how this person see my dream. Now you outside looking in from a third person perspective from someone else's point of view. You can't do that in your dream. Only thing you could do is experience someone else's dream from them, from their timeline. But you won't be looking at you from them. You would think you them, but you will probably be embodying someone else and experiencing their timeline from a two-dimensional point of view again. So even though the surroundings may look 3D, the conscious awareness ability is only 2D because you're only able to appear to look from your perspective. You see what I'm saying? And you can't go in third person. So the only way you experience someone else's timeline is if you was them in your dream. You see what I'm saying? So that lets you know that your dreams is only two-dimensional. Now, since you in a third dimensional body, you're able to access the one dimension and the second dimension as you please, and able to utilize the powers of both in the third dimension. So, as you get ready to die and transform from this vessel and go into a fourth dimensional being, right? Your dreams will become third dimensional, right? Now, I can get into detail because I was a fourth dimensional being, which is an oversoul. So, right here, you're able to do this. So, same way how I explained your dreams is two-dimensional, and then you wake back up in the third dimension. You see how everything in the third dimension now, right? This is one of the reasons why you got people here who say this is a dream. Because a lot of people who say this is people who probably descended from being an oversoul, a fourth dimensional being, or being a planet, a fifth dimensional being, or being a sun, a sixth dimensional being. You see what I'm saying? These are people who experienced that, but since they went to sleep, came back into this existence, they're explaining it from this realm of reality. So they may not even understand the full concept of why they said that, but this is one of the reasons why they said that. Because as you get into a fourth, the same way how you in a third dimensional vessel now, when you dream, your dream it is what it is, and that's a two dimension. When you go into the fourth dimensional, every way you look at the third dimension right now, that's how your dream's gonna be. When you are an oversoul, when you are in a fourth dimensional being vessel, you see what I'm saying? That's how it's gonna be. So when you sleep and when you dream, it's gonna appear like this. But not only is you gonna be able to be like, okay, let me see how the surroundings, let me see how this person look at the surroundings. You could be able to jump into another person and be like, let me see how this person see the surroundings. And really, the group of people that you jumping in is really pieces of you. See, once you become an oversoul, you have to understand that you in a dimension and a conscious level higher than the third dimension. So your source, your power of you is able to control more than one. So for an example, you got billions of beings in you, but it's gonna, the higher in dimension you go, the more literal things become. The more it becomes literally. Like you got people in 3D right now, like, man, I need to find the light. I need to find God. Right? And then they go on their day to day. In the fourth dimensional being vessel, fifth, sixth dimension, you're actually doing that. You're doing that literally. When people say I need to find the light, they're following lights. They're getting in their cars or their vehicles or however it appear to be in the fourth dimension, and they're traveling to find lights. When they say they need to find God, that's a way of life. Ain't no down here, you just perceiving it in filters. So it's like, I need to find it. So you're doing it conscious awareness wise. You're doing it due to religions and things of that nature. The higher in dimension you go, the more literal things are. You're literally doing it. So if you're worshiping down here, however you look at worshiping down here, when you get in the fourth dimension, you're doing that literally. Understand that. You're doing that literally. You're literally traveling from this location to this location to bring gifts back to this being, to bring gifts back to this being. You're traveling to locations to live up under sources, up under beings, up under suns. And these suns have realms of illusions and lights and different phases to them that correlates to, but it's all gonna be relative to how you look at life now. You see what I'm saying? Only reason I got people in my comment section talking about they scared and shit like that is because they scared of life now. I don't want to see nobody leaving comments talking about, hey, if you talking about you scared, you want to just live out, don't leave no comments on my shit. I don't want to see none of that shit, because that just means you scared of life now. You probably was in the two-dimensional vessel in your mother or your father thinking the same way you thinking now, but you living now, ain't you? You in a body now, ain't you? Get that in your motherfucking head. But at the same time, you need to understand, when you get into the fourth dimensional conscious being, your dreams is going to appear. You're going to be able to take the one, second, and the third dimension and be able to utilize it fourth dimensional wise. You see what I'm saying? So you're able to inhabit more people, like literally. You see what I'm saying? So as an oversoul, for an example, if I'm an oversoul, I'm not going to, me having an oversoul brain, talking to other oversouls, we're not gonna look at it. We're not gonna look at it like, oh, I'm like 5 people down there. I'm like 6 people down there. You're not gonna look at it. You're gonna look at it like you. But if you was to have, like me, I was a fourth dimensional being, and now I'm trying to explain it in third dimensional terms. So say I just came down here in third dimensional terms, right? It would appear to be that just me as a fourth dimensional being is probably like 60 of me's down here. You see what I'm saying? And I'm able to experience each and every one of their experiences. So that is my dream. So when I go to sleep, I'm able to see the surrounding. I'm able to see the third person, literally. You know what I'm saying? Like literally. Then when I wake back up, I got all this information. Now look, you doing this on a smaller degree because you're a third dimensional being. So all your one dimensions in you, your cells and all that shit in you, having all these thoughts and ideas that they're giving you and shit like that, you control all of them. Then you got your vibration, your soul, which is your second dimension, is how you vibrate with each frequency you catch, each thought, each one-dimensional thought and idea. This is why you only catch thoughts one at a time. You know, you might say, man, I get a bunch of thoughts at one time. No, you don't. You get one thought at a time, and then that thought correlates and add on to itself. You know what I'm saying? But you only could think piece by piece at one time. You can't just think about 2 things at one time. How you gonna do that? You just come from that. You're gonna be able to do that, but not in this vessel. You see what I'm saying? So I don't care how fast you think. I don't care if you think you're thinking 2 thoughts at one time. No, you just had one thought, and then that second thought came in super fast. That was it. But as you jump into the fourth dimension, right? Third dimension now, and everything that's in third dimension is going to be your dream now. So the fourth dimension is going to be what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be living life, right? And when you go to sleep, your astral projection and astral traveling is going to be predicated on the third dimension. Same way how you in the third dimension now, and when you go to sleep, is predicated on the second dimension. You see what I'm saying? So it's going to be the same thing. So when you get into a fourth dimensional vessel, right, your dreams is going to appear real. Same way how you think you in the third dimension right now, you can hit yourself and cut yourself. You're like, man, this is real. But you have a third dimensional brain and vessel. So it's kind of as far as your vessel can go. Your spirit ain't consciously out in another vessel yet. So your spirit will have to transform. This body will have to transform and die for your spirit to go somewhere in a bigger vessel. You see what I'm saying? But when you're in a fourth dimensional vessel, that's a bigger vessel. So you could be like an animal oversoul, a man oversoul, a human oversoul. You know what I'm saying? You could be any kind of oversoul. But once you're in the fourth dimension, you're in the fourth dimension, and you're living as one of those beings with one of those brains. And what happens here is when you dream, right, it's going to appear how you look at it now in third dimension. So it's going to be real. Like, your dream is going to be real. You're going to be able to take yourself out of shoes and experience things and experience days and time and events and locations and 24 hours and things of that nature. And you're going to be able to wake up as an oversoul and be like, okay, this is what oversouls do. You know what I'm saying? This is how oversouls are able to, you know what I'm saying, preach or not preach or kind of gain control over certain locations of areas on the land. When you talk about three-dimensional people, because let's not forget, as a third-dimensional being, it's all working filters. As a third-dimensional being, you get your source of information from oversouls. Same way how the two-dimensional beings, which is your vibration, your soul, things that you resonate with, it gets its source from you. Things that you're consciously aware of in your surroundings, it make you feel a certain way, right? That's information. That was the third dimension information going to your second dimension information. Then it make you feel a certain way. You develop certain thoughts about it. That's it supporting the first dimension, right? So when you got the fourth dimension as an oversoul, that lets you know that they give information to the third dimensional beings. So all the information you got it from an oversoul. You see what I'm saying? You got it by someone who's praising something else. Then the oversoul get their information from planets. Then the planets get their information from suns. Then the suns get their information from a seventh dimensional being. Solar systems, which is this is all one being. You know what I'm saying? But you're all beings within beings. You have to experience all these levels. Then you got the solar system, get all its information from a galaxy being, which is the eighth dimension. Then the eighth dimensional being get all its information from a verse, which is a ninth dimensional being. A verse. I don't want to say a universe, omniverse, or none of that shit, because it's just a verse. Something that's in conflict with itself. So we know reason why ain't nobody going past a verse, because can't nobody find a being that's not in conflict with its fucking self. So this lets you know, as a verse in general, you inside of a universe, you inside of a being that's in conflict with itself. And this is the way that it exists, or you wouldn't exist if you ain't have no conflict within yourself. Because conflict is what creates the orb. Orbs can't be created without two opposites. Opposites attract. When opposites attract, it creates an energy of a blending of the two opposites, and that becomes beauty. That's where beauty comes from. That's where beauty, agreeable nature come from. Everybody agreeing upon the nature, everybody being relatable. Art, creativity, beauty, life and death, everything comes out of an orb. An orb. Everything comes out of an orb, because it's a mixture. So just the ability that you're here, you're not pure nothing. You're a mixture. That's why I get upset when I hear all these motherfuckers want to claim shit. These black people want to claim, just rushing to claim shit. Look, you are a mixture. That's why you are here. There's no original thing. If it was original, it wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be able to see it. So you are a mixture. This is why things are perceived to be beautiful. This is why things are perceived to be a whole or sphere-like, or disc that's taking sphere-like shapes of realities and things of that nature. Because that's what it is. It's an orb of two polar opposites. And it goes down even to you can't create a child without having sex. Two polar opposites on a small scale joining together to create a new life. So you see what I'm saying? Things is deep. But when we talk about a verse, this is a person that's in conflict with itself, and it keeps creating things on its own, and it went chaotic and haywire. So this lets you know right now you're within an overall being, but you have to take all shapes and forms within that being before you could be spit out or brought back in to the being that you in with a duty or obligation. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like when you was in third dimension, you have to experience all 9 dimensions before you consciously aware enough to put yourself in a 4th dimensional brain. And once you get into a 4th dimensional consciousness, you have to go through all dimensions, all 9 dimensions. There's 9 dimensions in every dimension, but there's only 9 dimensions. Now you got thousands and trillions of realms of realities created, because those are orbs. Those are orbs created within the dimensions. You see what I'm saying? So as a 4th dimensional being, your brain is different than a 3rd dimensional being's brain. You're able to consciously take in more information because your spirit was big enough to inhabit a bigger body. You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna start to see what's going on. If you in this verse in general, you in this overall being. Now, how you know a person who's still stuck in 3D in the 3rd dimension, people who can't get out of 3D. You know people who stuck in the 4th dimension, you can see people who stuck in the 5th dimension, and you can see people who've been in all dimensions. Like me, I'm not coming back to the 3rd dimension because I'm already consciously fulfilled in all 9 dimensions in the 3rd dimension. See, I'll be giving y'all 9th dimensional consciousness, 8th dimensional consciousness, 7th dimensional consciousness. See, you have a lot of conscious beings out here who can't go above 5 or 6. You know what I'm saying? Because they may have to come here a few hundred more times because they may not know how to they may not know how to consciously tell you an example on how life will be in these spectrums, or they just can describe it. So, this puts them in a mechanism where they perceive probably 5th or 6th or 7th dimension, but they may not perceive 7th and 8th and 9th. So the time that they die and come back, they're going to be able to access that 4th, 5th, or 6th dimension earlier in life, and then as time go on, they're able to access the 7th, 8th, and 9th dimension faster than they was in the previous life that they was just in. But is this all a work in progress? You see what I'm saying? And when we talk about the 9 dimensions, just to run them down, you know what I'm saying? You have to be consciously aware of these things to ascend. Now you have people who are scared to ascend, but they go through issues and problems in this life every day. Why do you want to go through issues and problems and develop these issues and problems every day when I'm sitting here telling you there's a greater life? There's a better life. There's more of it. Now, people might get scared because they worship and they're under religions now. And when I say shit like you're going to be doing that literally in the 4th dimension, that, you know what I'm saying? A lot of like, and you got to get out your head too. Everybody ain't going to the 4th dimension. Like, if you're a person who kicking that fear, kicking scared, talking about, I don't want to do this, I don't want to, believe me, you're not going. And you're not going where you think you're going either. You coming right back here until you learn to not fear. Learn to not fear death. Learn to not fear certain realms of realities. Learn how to not be scared to go against the grain. If you haven't developed these attributes yet, you coming back here, you're not going nowhere. So, I mean, to be watching my videos about this is kind of a waste of time, to be honest with you. But for people who are in the stage of not giving a fuck and ready to proceed, you on a better path. Like me, when I get there, whatever I'm doing now, I'm going to be doing that literally. You see what I'm saying? Literally. So life will only get better. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to get worse. It's only going to get better. You see what I'm saying? That's how you got to look at it. If you a person who's scared now, you must got things that's going on in your mind that's making you think of things worse now. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's all about what you're doing now in the present. It's all about what you're doing now in the present. It's all about what you're doing now in the present. So, keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? What I'm doing now, I'm gonna have more access to be able to do that, right? And in so many shapes and forms, it may even play out in the third dimension as people really saying Uriel was here, right? But like some real shit. And it might even play out to a certain degree that you know how everybody got clinging on to old names and old shit now, making their names like Inkies and all this type of shit, right? 2,000 years from now, that'll probably just be like a couple days for me as an oversoul, right? And as me being a fourth dimensional being, right? In so many mechanisms, I'll be able to look down and see people calling themselves pilots and things of that nature, but under my realm of reality, like, oh, 2,000 years ago, it was pilots on Earth, and this is what they did. They was like angels. They called themselves pilots and shit like that, and they flew down on Earth, and these was real powerful beings, and they came here and gave mankind the science of the stars, the science of astrology, the science of dimensions, the science of transcending and ascending, the science of uh omniscience and stuff like that. And you're gonna have a lot of people portraying this and calling themselves pilots and dressing themselves and things of that nature. And it's gonna be like a 2,000 year span, the way how y'all look at the 2,000 year span of religions and Bibles. But really, I'm here telling you this now. It's me. You see what I'm saying? And it could be you too. So what are you scared about? You see what I'm saying? That's what this shit is about. It's about the present. What shit means. And shit mean what you make it mean. Flight boss, bitch. Goddamn, man.